Last week's announcement from the PTE was a whole lot of nothing, huh? That didn't stop some people taking advantage of the situation and trying to scare you, right? Well, I don't do that here. And even PTE had to come out and had to tell us that the changes that they made had nothing to do with immigration policies, so it didn't really affect anything at all. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just going to link it above and you can check it out for yourself. But today, we can get back to business. And what I want to talk to you about is the Describe Image. Because oftentimes I get people asking me, what are we supposed to do in this task? They get nervous. The reason why they get nervous is because they don't know how to describe that image or chart because they can't understand it. If that's ever happened to you before, if you ever felt that way before about a Describe Image, then PTE has got you exactly where they want you. But before we get started, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. My name is Sonny, and this is Sonny English. I provide real tips and tricks on how to get your PTE score. So y'all ready for this? Let's get into it. You know, just like in the beginning, I said that some people try to scare you. They try to scare you into thinking that you need their help. They try to scare you into buying their shit. Well, PTE does the same thing. They try to scare you into failing the test. How do you ask? Well, based on the name of the task. The way that they name their tasks, it intimidates you. And when you see Describe Image, you think, oh my goodness, I have to describe that? I think it's better if I gave you an example. So here we go. Here's a dog. Maybe you like dogs, maybe you don't. What if I were to tell you that the dog's name was Killer? Would you feel a certain way about the dog? Would you be scared of the dog? And then what if I were to tell you that the dog's name was not Killer? The dog's actual name was Cupcake. Would your feelings about the dog change? Would it change just because of the name? And that's the same thing that the PT is doing. They name their tasks a name that scares you into thinking, my goodness, that is a difficult task. Well, in my opinion, let me give you what I think should be the real name of the Describe Image task. It should be called Talk About the Image Without Stopping, even if you are saying something wrong, because we don't care if you're saying something wrong. Damn, that's a long name. But if that were the real name of the task, would you still feel like it's a difficult task for you? I hope not. However, that still leaves us with, what should we actually say? By now, you should have already seen some type of template for the Describe Image task. Now, it doesn't really matter. I have no preference on which template you use because there is no such thing as a magic template for the Describe Image. So if it doesn't really matter what you say, then it shouldn't really matter which template you use. Now, even though I just said that it doesn't really matter what you say, so any template will do, please remember how you say it is very important. That's more important for speaking than what you say. So if you don't actually have a template on hand or you've never seen one before, I did actually post some on YouTube a while back. Now, a while back when I did post them, I actually had a different template for every different type of graph and chart. However, over time I realized that we didn't need all of those. One will be enough for everything. One template for every type of graph or chart. Now I'm going to demonstrate with one of those templates that I just mentioned, but I want to point this out first. Everything that I teach on YouTube are things that I don't teach in my classes anymore. Because how would you feel if you had to pay to join one of my classes and then I turn around and just teach you the same shit that I teach on YouTube? That wouldn't be right. So what I teach in my classes and what I teach on YouTube, they're not the same. Now, with that said, if you are one of my students, please, please, please don't message me thinking, Sonny, did you change your technique? No. Keep doing it the way that I taught it in class. This right here is for people doing self-study on YouTube. As you can see, there's two different directions, two different methods, all right? So don't get confused. Don't message me. Here's the template that I posted on YouTube a while back. If you want a copy of this, just hit me up on Instagram. I'll give you the link to download it. So as you can see, there's about 5 pre-written lines, and you got to memorize that, right? And that's what templates are for. You got to memorize it. And each line has given instructions. So the first line, you're supposed to read it and then just read along with the title. The second line, you're supposed to look for the largest proportion, like the largest number. The third line, you're supposed to look for the second largest proportion. The fourth line, look for the smallest proportion. In the last line, you're supposed to create a little conclusion and overview of the image. None of that matters, okay? It's just about speaking without stopping. So if you don't pick the largest proportion or the second largest proportion, none of that matters. Let me give you a sample chart. So right away in the chart here, we can see there's a title. There's data about LA, Paris, Madrid, and Rome. About finding the largest proportion, second largest, and the smallest proportion, none of that matters anymore. What you want to do is just take that information and put it in there, even if it's wrong. So I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to take LA, we're going to take Paris, we're going to take Madrid. 1, 2, 3, the first three things that we see. And I don't even care what number it is. I'm going to take 500, 400, and 300. 5, 4, 3. Okay, 500, 400, 300. It doesn't really matter. And then, of course, we have that title, revenue for fashion designers. And then it says millions. And that's all I'm going to take. So you can see my thought process now. I'm just going to read this from beginning to the end. Our objective is to speak from beginning to the end without stopping. The given image shows the revenue for fashion designers in millions. From an overall perspective, we can see that LA accounts for the largest proportion at 500, followed by Paris, which accounts for the second largest proportion at 400. In contrast, Madrid represents the smallest proportion at 300. One thing that clearly stands out is that the given image shows the revenue for fashion designers in millions. And there you go. And that is the reason why I say we should call this task, talk about the image without stopping, even if you're saying something wrong, because they don't care if you're saying something wrong. That's a really long name. I don't even know if I said it right, but you know what I mean. Now, the last thing I want to make sure I talk about is how much time you should speak for, because oftentimes people get confused with how much time you should speak for. I will share with you what's worked for me. All right, for me, I've always kept it between 25 and 30 seconds. Now, that doesn't really mean it has to be within that time. It's all about the speed, how fast you speak, right? Or how slow you speak. Because if you speak for 25 seconds and you speak really slow, that doesn't really mean you spoke for 25 seconds. All right, you just dragged it out. So speaking at the right pace for 25 to 30 seconds works well for me. And then you have others that say they did it in 35. That's perfectly fine. I've done it that way and it works. Okay, I've tested it, it works. However, why speak more when you can speak less, right? So you don't have to speak for 35 seconds. It's not necessary. It will work for you though, if you do speak for 35. But I have another question that's come up where I guess someone on YouTube was teaching you can speak for 10 seconds for the describe image. And I wasn't sure if that was true or not, so I went and tested it. And then my speaking dropped a lot, by a shitload. So when people ask me that question now, I tell them it didn't work for me. So it's up to you if you want to do that. That's your money that you got to spend on the test if you want to try it. But I'm letting you know right now it didn't work for me. 35 worked, 10 did not. But I usually speak for 25 and 30. I hope that helps. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope the information was helpful. If you thought it was, please remember to check out my other tutorials. Once again, my name is Sonny, and this is Sonny English. Remember to hit that like button and give me a subscribe, because I provide real tips and tricks on how to get your PTE score. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.